Welcome. This is Leading with Spirit, the show that gives you an in-depth look at topics like what it takes to navigate your spiritual journey, how to heal yourself and grow your spiritual gifts, and balanced practices to expand your business and your spiritual leadership. I'm your host, SpiritBird, shamanic teacher, healer, and author, here to guide you on your journey to becoming your most potent spiritual leader. What is a shaman? Am I a shaman? How is shamanic healing different than other modalities? I feel called to be a healer, be a spiritual guide. How do I know it's not just my ego? It feels like everybody wants to do that now. Welcome back to another episode of Leading with Spirit. I'm SpiritBird, and I could not be more excited to share this episode with you today. We have been listening to lots of the questions that you all are bringing to our Leading with Spirit Facebook group. Thank you so much for joining the conversation, and for having the courage to ask the questions that you have, because that's the only way that you can get them answered. And so today I want to go over a lot of the common questions that we get when you feel called to the shamanic path, and what even is a shaman, and how to distinguish that from other modalities. So today we're deep diving into the world of shamanism, what makes a shaman, how you know if this path is right for you, and where to go with it. Today is going to be packed full of information and insights for your journey, so make sure to pay close attention. Before we dive in, I want to share with you a super exciting opportunity. So a few months ago, I temporarily hit a pause button on Shaman School. And on our last episode of Leading with Spirit, I talked a little bit about that. So we are back, and it is going to be the final enrollment. I will not be offering Shaman School in 2025. So this will be the last chance to join us. Shaman School is already a life and business changer all the way around. Students don't want to leave when it's over. They cry. They say it changed their life. One student even recently said after he signed up, he was worried that he wasted his money, and he was so wrong. He said, every time I come in, it just gets better than I thought it could. This last round of Shaman School is going to be masterful and dynamic, and those who join will get lifetime access to all of my digital courses, including all of my spiritual business creation and marketing courses. And I haven't actually added up the total cost of what all of that is, but that's easily over $5,000 in bonus courses that you'll have for forever. I'll share more later on about the details of this and what your next steps are. But for now, consider this a formal invitation. If your soul's been calling for this, if your soul has been wondering if this is right for you, if you find yourself continuing to think about it, please set up a call with me. I'll leave the program info again in the show notes, and you can read over all of that information and apply and book your call. I'm offering free Ignite Your Inner Shaman call, and I'll have a limited number of seats for Shaman School for this enrollment. So each seat is actually going to get a special bonus. If you're the first one, you're going to get all of the bonuses. So the sooner you apply, the more you're going to get. This is going to be super fun and exciting. And we'll be enrolling basically from now until either the seats are full or the very end of August. And then we're closed up, and that's it. So if you're curious, get on my calendar and let's have a conversation. You can follow the link in the show notes, or you can go to holdenhealingearths.com/shaman-school, where you'll be invited to book your Ignite Your Inner Shaman call and answer a few questions about you. And then we'll be able to connect and really deep dive into, if this is true for you and what the next steps are. And there's no obligation to enroll, so don't be shy. So how is shamanic healing different than other modalities, right? You're probably noticing that more and more people are waking up faster and faster. Spirituality is becoming more popular. We're seeing more people in different groups start to speak out. We're seeing more spiritualities merging. And so there is a lot of stuff that kind of gets mixed together, which is super exciting. And also, you might be wondering, well, which one do I choose? How do I know what's right for me? And how is a shaman different than some other kind of healer? So a shaman is both a healer and a manifester. But unlike many other spiritual practitioners, a shaman doesn't do for others, a shaman does with others. The journey is collaborative. And this is at the heart of what makes shamanic work so powerful. This is how it's different than other modalities, too. Instead of the healer telling you what to do or doing it for you, you as the client gets to fully participate in the healing and in the manifesting. And this is how shamans get really powerful results. And in healing, for instance, a shaman navigates different levels of reality to empower the person they're working with. This helps them heal themselves and manifest the life that they desire. And shamans in general bring balance to individuals, communities, and systems. So, at the core basic level, shamans are actually connecting to the unseen realm of spirits to gain wisdom and information, to bring it back into this reality to help heal and manifest. And the way they do that is by working with you, not doing it for you. And when they're working on multiple levels or multiple dimensions, I should say, multiple levels of reality at the same time. So this is one of the reasons or one of the ways they're different than other healers or other intuitive people like a medium, for example. So let's start by exploring the unique role of a shaman. Shamans have this profound ability to communicate with spirit. Most people called to the path have probably already had a relationship with spirit or had spirit guides come with them, even if you're not really aware of that they're happening or how to work with it. You've probably been invited by spirit in some way. You probably have some connection, maybe in the dream realm, maybe through nature. And so shamans have this profound ability to communicate in subtle and powerful ways. And also, this is part of the shamanic path, is learning how to do this, learning how to find your unique way and basically lean into it more and trust it more. So, unlike mediums, for example, so mediums also connect with spirit, right? Like a lot of people connect with spirit. How is this different? Mediums, for example, when they connect with spirits, they're often connecting with specific spirits to comfort, for example, a grieving loved one, right? Like a lot of people who have lost somebody or feels like a lost loved one is trying to communicate with them might go to a medium to help them connect to their lost loved one. Shamans, on the other hand, we commune with any compassionate spirit entity that aids in the healing that wants to happen now. So while most shamans tend to work with specific guides, or you might have, a specific totem or power animal, which you can learn more about that on the Holden Healing Arts blog. Um, they're going to work with the spirit that actually is best fit to aid in the healing and the manifesting. So this is one difference, right? And this also includes connecting to the spirit of the person that they're working with. Even our own spirit can actually be outside of our body, offering clues and connections to help the shaman know where to apply the healing and how to help that individual manifest. Shamans also operate on multiple levels of reality to achieve their goals. This is part of what makes them, again, super powerful. And also, when you are fully embodied as a shaman, it makes it super fun when you can actually experience how you're working these multiple levels of reality at the same time. Super fascinating. So to give you a better understanding of what I mean by that, let's dive into these. And right now I have them broken into 4 levels just so we can kind of understand it in its simplest form. So the first dimension, of course, is the physical dimension. So this is the dimension where everything is separate, right? We have like tangible things. It's the world or the reality all of us are tuned into and understand on some level. It's where we own our houses and cars and live our individual lives. It's the 3D, it's your physical body. So that's the physical dimension. And shamans, of course, work on that level. They also work on the intuitive dimension. So this is the realm where we use our psychic senses, where telepathy exists, where energy is generally available, and we use energy to connect and understand the world from a different perspective. It's the realm of intuition, of unseen forces. It's a realm where we can access information beyond the linear mind, right? So we're getting information, insights, communication in a way that our rational brain could not make up. And shamans can see this, and they work within this intuitive dimension, this energetic field, to access the wisdom and information, again, that the mind can't rationalize or reason. So that is dimension number 2. And so when shamans are working, they're working, again, here's that physical realm. That means they're tuning into the physical realm and utilizing tools in the physical realm when they're working with someone else or a group. They're also working with the intuitive dimension, where we're picking up on psychic information, telepathy, again, and just general intuitive information. The third dimension that shamans work on is, I'll call it the dream dimension. And this is the realm where symbols, signs, archetypes, deities, metaphors, astral travel, and dreaming all occur. We use our inner journeys to heal and transform our outer realities. So the dream dimension is a dimension where we're tuning into basically signs and symbols, not only to interpret information, but to actually communicate information and to create a situation that allows for the healing and manifesting to happen. Like, for example, it's common for me to actually show up in the dreams of my students and teach them something specific that they had a question about. The way that this works is on multiple different levels, right? So there's the physical level where I'm actually like interacting with them in the 3D reality. There's the intuitive level where I'm picking up on maybe some of their questions telepathically, or I have a psychic seeing of something that needs to change or move in their life. And then I'm allowing my dream body to tune into the best symbols and signs that will be impactful for that person, and allowing my dream self to go through and deliver that information. So that's like an example of how to be working on multiple levels. The fourth dimension that I'll name for today is what I would call the mystic dimension. So this is where everything is interconnected, right? This is where all energy, all spirit, all nature, everything is one, right? It's the realm of unity, and another word for it could be divine consciousness, the unified field, unity consciousness. These are all examples of the mystic realm. And shamans are able to access this realm to be able to see a bigger picture of life and its meaning. When they're connected to this dimension, while we can see what's happening on the 3D, we can also see what's happening basically like on a meta, from a meta perspective, from this not even bird's eye view, but from this interconnected understanding of these multiple levels of reality, of galactic understanding, of understanding of Gaia consciousness. They all kind of come together. And when we access this information, we're able to guide people in a totally different way, because we're able to see well beyond the really simple cause and effect of right now, and see the lifetimes of progression that are underway. So shamans adeptly move between all of these levels when they're working with clients, or when they're working with healing the land, or when they're working and offering a ceremony. And they're going to use whatever is most appropriate in that moment to facilitate the healing and a manifestation. Most of the time, that's all of those dimensions. And sometimes we're going to lean into one more than the other. And this fluidity and adaptability are what make shamanic practices so effective and unique. It makes them different than some of the other modalities, right? So here is another distinguishment. While other spiritual practices often emphasize that mystic dimension, right? That unity consciousness, in a lot of spiritual practices, in a lot of talk that you hear about awakening, the idea of enlightenment, right? We tend to associate that with the mystic dimension. And when we take our old paradigm thinking that's based on this hierarchy, right? That's based on this structure that there's like a best and a worst, and a good and a bad, and a right and a wrong. When we take that old paradigm of thinking and apply it to these different dimensions, we end up with a distorted version of what they are. And when that happens, you might believe that the mystic realm is somehow superior or better to be in or more important than the other realms. And what is different about shamanism is it does not see that as true at all. It actually sees all dimensions as being important and equal, right? And again, in a lot of other spiritualities, they emphasize just one. And when that happens, we end up actually becoming really unbalanced in our life. And this is where people really struggle to, like, they have an awakening and they don't know how to function in the 3D reality. Or we have people that have a negative experience and they try to make 3D reality bad or wrong, when actually it's very important and very needed. And all of these different levels or different dimensions require the other ones to exist in order for them to exist. So it's important to remember that there is no hierarchy here. And actually, a mature, healthy shaman should be able to navigate all of those dimensions, not just the quote unquote higher ones or the unseen ones. Now, you don't have to already have all these levels mastered to start or continue the training, right? Because that's part of the process. And in shamanic healing and shamanic training, a lot of people will refer to themselves as a shamanic practitioner, meaning they have done some shamanic training and they're still learning. So that's a really common way to refer yourself, to both have respect to what it is, to acknowledge that you're always learning on the path, right? And if you're learning or you're in the journey of learning shamanic practices, you are going to be called to heal whatever part of you is lacking, or whatever part of you you avoid, or whatever part of you needs to be rounded out in order for you to be this mature, well-rounded shaman. So this allows you to show up in your full power. This allows you to stop hiding your spiritual side from the regular world. Having access to all of these dimensions allows you to no longer hold back in your client sessions or when you're asking for money, because you don't think people see you as valuable, right? This is the struggle that a lot of people on the spiritual journey have, is that we find the spiritual trainings and teachings to be so important and so valuable, but when we offer it to others, if we're caught in that distorted version of the 3D dimension, of the physical dimension, we might think that people don't see us as valuable. And when you have healed all of these dimensions and work from that place, you no longer fall into that trap, right? You no longer let people push your boundaries. You no longer use Band-Aid fixes for your problems or your clients' problems. And of course, you have a deep understanding of the spiritual realms and how to heal using your gifts and a full understanding of spiritual cosmology. A lot of times when I talk about shamanism, I often hold my hands out. I like kind of make the shape of a globe when I'm talking about it, because it is this like entire spiritual system. It's not just like when people talk about it like a modality, that really doesn't apply at all. It's really not a modality. It is entire spiritual cosmology. And you're going to be at different stages during your journey with it. So again, sometimes people feel like they're interested and kind of feel called, but they feel like, man, well, I really, don't have access to this one particular dimension. Maybe I'm not supposed to be a shaman. That's not true, actually. The call is for you to learn how to do it. So don't get sidetracked thinking because you don't have it all figured out already that you're not meant to be one. The whole point is to learn how to do it, right? So, how do you know if you're called to shamanism or to be a shaman? And I'm going to make a small distinction here, right? Because there is both. You could be called to shamanism to actually just learn the practices and the methods for just your individual healing or for to help you with navigate like a bumpy part of your life at some point. You could also be called to be a shaman, to actually be a spiritual guide. And actually, most of the time, the calling feels exactly the same. Don't get caught up on which one is which, because the whole point is to follow spirit and follow the calling and let it show you what it wants to show you. That being said, you probably still have a lot of questions about how do you know that this is real and not just ego? You might feel like everyone is saying this right now. How do you know if it's real for you and true for you? So, first and foremost, you should know if you have the desire, if you find yourself fantasizing about it, dreaming about it, if you find that you keep thinking about it, it's real. And it's really not more complicated than that. That is how you know. Most people will feel called to shamanism through a strange occurrence that we literally refer to as the call. You'll get signs, you'll get clues. Um, People might tell you that you were a shaman in a past life or a healer in a past life, or maybe your curiosity is just piqued. That's something that happened to me. I was on a spiritual path already, and I came across the word shaman. I had no idea what it was. It was almost 2 decades ago. It was not as well known of a term. And there was just something that clicked inside me when I heard it. And then as I started to follow it and learn more, eventually I learned that it was very much a part of my path. And actually, I explored it for several years just for my own personal healing, not to do it as a career. I didn't even have it in my mind that that was possible at the time. It was really just because I found it to be wonderful and it helped me in so many different ways. And also, it helped me understand the natural gifts that I had. And I'll share a little bit more about that later. So, it can just be that simple as being curious, being piqued, finding like, oh, that you're sort of drawn to it for some unknown reason. Or your curiosity might have been piqued from a psychedelic experience or an awakening. So often, this call, as it is named, is an actual energetic invitation. And it is through that, through the shamanic path that and spirit that sort of reaches out and delivers that energetic invitation to you. And the way that you experience that energetic invitation is through desire and curiosity. So again, if you find yourself kind of dreaming about it or curious about it or somehow drawn, that is the energetic invitation. And that's all you need to have to know that this is true and real for you. Now, some people will have what I would call an initiation. And so this is also an energetic invitation. It's a little bit more loud. And it might take a while for you to realize that it's happening for you. And so this can come through like suddenly losing your job. It's like a big life change, or sometimes it's even traumatic. So it can be like losing your job that you've had for years. It can be like having an accident. An initiation might be about losing a loved one or going through a medical ordeal. These are really common examples. And when this happens to you, the universe is literally opening the doorway. This is another way that they give you this energetic invitation. And it's a real thing. That curiosity is trying to guide you both to what you need as an individual to heal and grow and experience the joy of life, experience your full potential. It's also trying to guide you because it wants to use you. This invitation is from spirit itself, and it wants to use you to deliver more healing and balance to the world. So this is part of that initiation, and the call and the energetic invitation is both hearing that invitation and then also somewhere in your system agreeing, finding, is this true? Do you really want this? If you're having the desire, then it is true, right? And you do really want it. And so you're being invited by spirit Spirit wants to use you and use your gifts to create more healing and beauty in the world. Is that something you want to be part of? Right? So, whether you start that journey for personal reasons, like I did, honestly, I didn't even really start because I was like, oh, I'm suffering and I want to heal. I started the journey because I just loved exploring consciousness. I loved learning more about that. But it might be for personal reasons. It might be because you went through a major life transformation and you don't have understanding. You might feel like you're spinning out or you lost your grounding. You might feel like you're really disconnected from your purpose. Or you might have gone through something, a childhood trauma or something from the past that you thought you healed, but it keeps coming back up and it wants to be explored again. And this might be another reason that you start this journey. It could also be because you want to be a better healer, right? Maybe you did some training and you know that you do have gifts and you know that you're here to be a spiritual guide. You might have even started a business. You might be doing really well in your business or be doing coaching for people and you want to be better. Shamanism, shamanic healing is that next step. You might also be called to this because you are growing a spiritual business. And if you're working on a spiritual business, you know very much that that is also part of your spiritual growth. And so you could be called to the shamanic path to help you in that process of healing and moving through your blocks and manifesting the life that you desire. And I know some of us, like when you say that, when I say that, manifesting the life you desire, you probably hear that all the time. It's a really commonly used phrase. It kind of has lost its meaning because everybody uses it for everything. Um, and you might also find yourself kind of cringing a little bit like, oh, no, I'm not called to this because I want to manifest the life I desire. I'm called to this because I really want to help people. And I encourage you to allow that it can actually be both. That when you're called to this path, it's inviting you to heal some part of you that has a block or distortion. And again, this is because spirit wants to use you. And allowing yourself to be used by spirit in whatever way spirit wants, as long as it aligns with your desires as well, then this is one of the most humble things that we can actually do. So be careful that you don't get caught under the distorted belief that somehow wanting to make money or live a better life or have more time is somehow bad or not authentic to being called to be a healer. I think for most called to the path, whether it's about your life or not, you do see that life in general could be better, right? You do see that the world does need some healing or some changes and transformation. You do see that some of this is happening right now, and you want to be part of that transformation. You want to be part of making a better world, even if it's not clear how. So these are all examples of what that energetic invitation might be. And if you've checked just one of those boxes, then you can know that invitation is real. It is true. And likely you've probably checked multiple boxes from what I named. So coming back to this idea of maybe you're just drawn to shamanism versus being a shaman, right? So at the most introductory level, you're going to learn when you start this path, you're going to learn how to speak with spirit and live a shamanic life. Let me add here that living a shamanic life is not the same thing as spiritual purity. So sometimes when we think of shamans, we imagine another culture and we imagine extreme examples. And while that is part of the shamanic path, we also need to remember that the shamanic path too is a spectrum. And so there are different iterations of how you as a shaman might show up. And by no means does being called to the shamanic path mean that you should be wearing certain clothing or that you have to have a special diet or that you can't go to concerts or be part of the normal, quote unquote, normal physical 3D reality, right? Absolutely not true at all. And so part of the reason that we get confused here is because, well, for one, a lot of spiritual practices had to go underground for centuries, right? And so now that they're coming back up, they haven't actually had the time to grow and change throughout history because they've been safe kept, and it was required that they had to be hidden in order for them to remain and not get destroyed through monotheism, basically, and colonialism. But now they're back out. And so that means there's going to be modern adaptations and rituals and practices and rules that might have applied then are not going to apply in the same way now. I listened to, I'll have to find it. I listened to this podcast called Search for the Slavic Soul. I've been deep diving into my Polish and Slavic roots, and I don't remember the creator's name, but I'll include it in the show notes. She's very, very truth talker. She's very straightforward, and I love the way she talks about, we're trying to find this authentic Slavic culture and practices. But in order for them to be actually authentic, it means we do need to adapt them for what's true for us now. So, an example she gives that I love is, let's say our ancestors were known to, offer a sacrifice of, we'll say, a particular kind of goat, for example. That doesn't mean that now you go to the grocery store and buy a goat. It's not that you need to make it a goat. It's that we do need to adapt ourselves to meet the modern times. So what is actually a sacrifice for you now? And that would actually be more authentic, right? So that's a whole nother deep dive, but I just want to name that piece too, that there are going to be lots of versions of how a shaman might look. There isn't a real, quote unquote, real and true one. And it isn't that you have to be pure in order to be one. So please know that. Know that that is actually not part of our path. And actually know that even when you go visit other cultures, often those shamans they're certainly not perfect either. And often if we have interactions with them, it's in this very formal way. And in some ways, I don't think that it's actually beneficial because we don't get a really clear picture of what they are, and they end up being put on a pedestal. So anyway, whether you start this journey for personal reasons or because you want to be a better healer and grow your business, at the most introductory level, you're going to learn how to speak with spirit, how to live a shamanic life that's authentic and true for you. That's what we specialize at Holden Healing Arts with, is really helping you find that authentic place where you understand your purpose and how that relates to the whole. So this goes back to those 4 different dimensions too, right? Having an understanding and being able to experience reality from all of those dimensions. What is this going to do for you? It's going to allow you to make more informed choices. It's going to allow you to make choices rooted in who you truly are and what your actual purpose is. Generally, that's going to make you happier, make the people around you happier. And it's going to add to this healing and wholeness and this new world that so many of us are longing for, right? And that's as long as you pay attention and listen to the signs and listen to what spirit is asking for you to do. As long as you actually listen to it, you don't have to swim around in the daily anxieties and wonder what you're doing here or why you're here, right? And it doesn't mean that nothing bad ever happens to you. It just means that when it happens, you don't get swept up in it. You're able to remain and stay in your center and stay connected to those 4 different levels of reality. You'll still go through life. You'll still have emotions. You'll still have questions, but you won't have to suffer through it. And this is so important. Also, regardless of how you might apply your calling to life, again, whether that's because you want to learn about shamanism for personal healing or you want to be a fully embodied shaman, regardless of which way you go with it, either way, you're going to heal past traumas, you're going to heal old beliefs, and you're going to heal distorted perceptions of realities. So And then if you want to go further and offer healing to others, you can. And you'll know you're being called to that because you'll feel it. You will feel it in your body. You'll keep thinking about it. There's that energetic invitation. Likely you will think, is this real? Why me? Who am I? Can I do this? You might wonder, side note, you might wonder, can you do this as someone who isn't part of a tribe or an indigenous culture? And yes, absolutely, you can. Um, you'll have, if you're having the energetic invitation and you're in integrity, it's likely that you will have doubts. Having doubts is actually a good sign. It does mean you're in integrity. It does mean that it's authentic and genuine. So if you're feeling that call, but you wonder if you're cut out for it, right? That's a whole nother thing. So maybe we feel the call and we're like, is this real? How do I know it's true? That's one question you might have. And again, just know that if you're having the desire to keep thinking about it, you can just know it's true. But if you are feeling the call and your next question is you wonder if you're cut out for it and what your next steps are, then get on my calendar and book your Ignite Your Inner Shaman call. Again, it's free, actually. There's just a small deposit to hold your spot. And the purpose of that call is to get you clarity on this exact question. And if this is the right path for you, because you might be called to it and it might not be the right path. Or you might be called to it and you might be wondering if you're cut out. And I have specific process and steps that will help you discern that so that you can, the point really would be to be able to make a decision and move forward. So you can either say, yes, it's true and own that, or you can say, you know what, actually, it really isn't for me. And then you can stop thinking about it all the time and wondering and worrying. So, so from here, I want to share a little bit about how this applies to you and why shaman school is the key to mastering your spiritual gifts and owning your worth as the powerful healer that you are. And again, it might be that you're doing this for your individual, your own self-healing, your own journey. Maybe you hit a stuck point in your life. Maybe you're in a transitional period, going through a divorce, starting a new career, and it's a really beautiful, supportive way to walk you through that. But you might also be called to do this again because you're ready to be the next level healer you're meant to be. So I want to share a little bit about my own journey. I've talked about this before, but I'll just share quickly. A lot of times with the shamanic path, you might wonder about, do you have what it takes? Don't you need to be, isn't this something you're born into? Don't you need to be gifted? And I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. But first, I just kind of want to share about my journey. So I was born with natural access to my spiritual gifts. That included seeing and hearing spirits on the physical level. That was crazy. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. It included having prophetic dreams, like literally having a dream about something happening. Then I would share it with somebody, and then it might happen 15 minutes later, completely innocently, just as a kid, right? It included psychic insight, and it included just sort of natural gifts. Another way you might know that you're called to this work is if people tell you, oh, you should be a counselor, or you're really good at giving advice, or like, oh, you're such a good listener. People might come up to you and just share random things about themselves or share something with you that they've never shared with anybody else. So these are all things that I experienced myself. And so I had all of these things happening. But like many people meant to be spiritual guides, I was interested in spirituality. I was interested in religion from a pretty young age, but I also didn't have any context for what was happening. And so for me, I found my way to Eastern philosophy. That was super helpful for me as well. And I kind of found a home in spirituality there for a little while, but I felt like something was missing. It didn't quite teach me how to use my gifts. I still didn't even realize that that's what they were at that time. And actually, when I was exploring all of this, I had an initiation in my late teenage years when I was probably like 17, 18, somewhere in there. And what happened was all of these gifts that I had, but did not have training on and did not have context for and didn't understand what was happening, they became really overwhelming. And so that initiation looked like a mental health crisis because, again, there was no context for what was happening outside of mental health was the only box that we could put that in at the time. And there was nothing else that I knew or that my community knew about how to interpret or understand what was happening. So I actually, I ended up receiving therapeutic services for a while. It did help in some ways. And actually, it was more so because I happened to have a pretty awakened therapist that helped me understand about empathy and actually helped me saw that these were gifts and not a mental disorder. So I had a little bit of support and I had to regroup and reorient to the physical plane. What was happening is that my soul and spirit was pushing further and further away from that physical plane and more into the other dimensions that I talked about earlier, which was heightening some of my gifts and spiritual experiences, but was also causing me to be disoriented. And so a lot of times, actually, people think that if they're really sensitive, that they're not, you might feel like you're not made for this world. And again, this is also part of the shamanic path. You might still be called to the shamanic path, but you will need to learn how to navigate all of these dimensions because the point is to bring the healing here. And we can't bring the healing here if we can't function here, right? So that was part of my initiation, actually, was learning how to function here again. And also realizing that I did have access to these other dimensions and that I did have other gifts and I wanted to learn how to use them, right? So although shamans have this heightened awareness, if they're overly sensitive and they can't cope or function in this reality, they can't do their job, which is to bring the wisdom of the spirit realm here and the higher dimensions here. So this was part of my healing journey, and learning this enhanced my ability to heal myself and to heal others and help others manifest these better lives and these dreams and these visions that we have for how to make the world a better place. So shamans undertake these internal journeys through, you could call it meditation, you could call it trance, through practices that help you access the theta wave state. And these internal journeys are what help us connect to the spirit realm. I recently released a new training called Pathways to the Spirit Realm. So if you're interested in learning how to access that, then you can follow HoltonHealingArts.com, Holton Healing Arts, or visit HoltonHealingArts.com or DM me and I can get you the link for that. But the point is to take these internal journeys to connect to the spirits who are best suited for the goal that we have, and to assist in the healing and to help manifest improvement in people's lives using those methods that the spirits know, or that we can gain from the wisdom of the earth or even our higher self. They also work, again, on multiple dimensions or levels of reality, like I mentioned. And this holistic approach is what sets shamanism apart from other spiritual practices. One other powerful aspect of shamanism that probably doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's very important to me and very important to us at Holton Healing Arts, is the emphasis on partnership. And so this is also different than other spiritual modalities. The point is to work with the spirits, that the desires of the spirits and our own personal desires, when those two things match, this is where magical shit happens. This is when paradigm shifting things occur. This is when we access the life we want. This is when manifesting happens. This is the portal to the visions of the world that we see being possible open. This is how we do it, is by partnering with the spirit. So it's not that we are giving up our sovereignty and just doing what spirit asks us to do. This is not like Jesus take the wheel, right? This is actually meeting spirit directly and creating a relationship and a partnership. And as a shaman, I don't just offer healing. I guide individuals to connect with their own inner healer. So this is also part of partnership, right? This is part of shamans do with, not for, is that we're actually connecting you to your own inner healer. It's a collaborative process, and this empowers you to take control of your spiritual, your physical, and your emotional well-being. Shamans do with, not for. So I want to take a second and actually do just like a super quick interactive exercise. So if you're in a safe space where you can close your eyes for a minute, go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep breath. And begin by imagining that you're standing on the edge of a vast forest. And remember, some of us are going to intuit information differently. So you might literally see the edge of a vast forest, or you might really more like feel it. Maybe you don't actually get any kind of visual, but you might sort of feel it. And remember that visualizations for most of us don't show up like they're a movie. They're described that way a lot, but that's not how most of us visualize things. So for example, if I said macaroni and cheese, you probably have a visual of that, but it's not like you're seeing a picture like it was real life. You just have a visual experience of it. So this is how most people experience quote unquote seeing or having a vision or visualizing, but you might feel it more. So just keep open mind about that. So imagine this vast forest, and this forest is going to represent the unknown, your untapped potential, the mysteries of your inner world and the mysteries of life. And imagine just for a moment taking a step into that forest, moving from the edge, maybe a few feet inside. And notice what you feel when you enter. And I'll give you a second just to feel. You might feel a sense of peace. You might feel a great sense of mystery or curiosity. And then take a moment and imagine standing behind a tree. Suddenly, a guide appears before you. So you might have already gotten a visual or heard a word or gotten some sign. It's probably really subtle. Maybe you just suddenly thought of a tiger, or maybe you got an actual visual of a guide, right? And that could be a person, it could be a deity, it could be a power animal. And so I want you to just acknowledge that that happened. Whatever it might have been really powerful, it might have felt a little silly. Just acknowledge that you did, in fact, just connect to a guide. And take a moment and ask the guide what message they have for you today. And I'll be quiet for a moment so you can receive any insights or feelings that come up, because the message might come up. It might sound like your thoughts, or it might be that they do say something to you, or maybe they give you a gift, or maybe you have a memory suddenly flash before you. So take just a moment. Maybe it's a feeling, and allow that to come through. Mhm. And just know you might have kind of questioned whether you made it up or not. But I always give the advice that whatever came through first was probably spirit. And actually, you don't have to spend that time doubting. You can just receive the information, just let yourself receive it. So when you're ready, just go ahead and open your eyes again and return to this moment. And I know that's a super simple exercise, but I like to use it to demonstrate how accessible shamanic practices can actually be, right? Whether you are meant to be this fully embodied shaman or you just want to learn more about living a shamanic life. And so when you have that question, don't I need to be gifted? I want to reiterate that yes, when you are entering the shamanic path, you do need to learn things. There is this whole cosmological understanding and order that you will be initiated into. And you don't have to have it all together or already know or already have access to your gifts in order to follow the path. It's as simple as having that desire and curiosity. And just know that actually shamanic gifts, some of us come into this world with access to them. You know, for example, when I shared part of my story, I did come into the world with access to my spiritual gifts. But it's not like you either have them or you don't. We all have them actually. And so it's a matter of just waking them up. And that's also part of the shamanic path. And I mentioned earlier that I'm so excited to be offering this last enrollment of Shaman School. And in Shaman School, you'll learn how to deepen these experiences and integrate them into your daily life. So it's not just hanging out in the dream realm, right? But it's coming into the physical reality. And how to integrate this knowledge and wisdom and experience into the work that you do with your clients and into your spiritual business. So, talking about Shaman School is really this masterful journey to help you master your unique spiritual gifts and own your worth in those gifts and as a healer. And there is no better time to start than now. This is my last enrollment. I'm not going to be offering this again in 2025. And so I'm going to share just a little bit more about what's included, how to tell if this is right for you, next steps for you to take, and some of the special things we're offering right now at Holton Healing Arts. So first, I want you to imagine having an entire year of emotional and spiritual support. That means no more spinning out every time something bad happens. That means no more spinning out every time you're trying to make a decision, right? Those moments of confusion about your next move, those are gone. And instead, you have clarity, you have peace, you have peace of mind during life's challenges. You have a deep understanding of who you are and your purpose. You're deeply connected to your unique special gifts, the gifts that are unique to you, that you're designed to deliver and how to deliver them. And you'll also have this cohesive source of guidance all in one place. So no more having to get confused by conflicting information or piecemealing advice from different people and different guides together. It's all here in one place. Shaman School offers a sanctuary for your spiritual growth. It's a place where you can explore and develop your unique spiritual gifts in a supportive community. I know a lot of you out there are navigating your spiritual gifts on your own, right? You probably are in a place where you feel like you're in a community that doesn't accept it, or people will think you're crazy if you talk about it, or it just seems like nobody else is interested in it, right? And so you'll actually have this beautiful, supportive community to learn from, to grow from, to connect with, and to collaborate with. You'll have, of course, like specific benefits from your experience in this program, like emotional resilience, right? That's being able to not be overwhelmed by life's challenges, developing this resilience to find peace through all of these really rapid changes that are happening all the time. And yes, it is possible. You can have that. You can navigate life without having to be worried all the time or anxious all the time or wondering what's going to happen next. You'll get spiritual clarity for sure. You'll have a clear understanding of your spiritual path and purpose. You'll get connected or reconnected to your personal power, right? So that's learning to harness your inner power and use it. Use it to manifest the life you desire, and use it to be able to help other people more, and use it to grow your business so that you can make more money and you can help other people more than you ever did before. And you'll be able to keep your energy clear, like not having to take on other people's energy. I know a lot of us who are sensitive or empaths struggle with that. We know we're doing it, but we don't know how to not do it. And this is part of reconnecting you to your personal power and part of what we teach you in shaman school. And certainly you'll be able to hold your boundaries better. You'll have this access to your spiritual gifts, your unique spiritual gifts, and just enhancing your natural healing abilities in general. Plus, we'll be teaching you specific advanced techniques to help yourself and to help others. And so if you've done some healing work before, intuitive development before, then this is a really wonderful next step. You don't necessarily need to know about shamanism or have done shamanic training to do shaman school, but it is a bit more advanced. So if you're a complete beginner, then DM me and let me know, and I can give you a better place to start. But if you've done a little bit of intuitive development or taken some other kind of training, then this is a really good next step. And for most people that have done some shamanic training, probably the training you've done is what we cover in maybe the first quarter of this course. So I just want to name that because most programs only do this first quarter of what we offer in shaman school. And during that process, you're going to develop, a clearer sense of who you are and what makes you unique so you can stand out in your work and in your uniqueness. We go over the shamanic archetypes, so that is amazing. No other course offers that at all. And this is twofold. You'll be able to understand better who you are, what your shadow work is, and what your gifts are. But you're also going to better understand how to see that immediately in someone else. So if you are guiding other clients or you just want to help people in your daily life, you'll be able to quickly identify what their archetype is and what their healing path is, which means you can better support them in that journey. And of course, we have that community support of like-minded individuals. You'll have this access to the higher awareness and the higher dimensions of spiritual patterns and how to navigate the dimensions and this full scope of spiritual wisdom, not just pieces. So coaches and therapists, if you're frustrated seeing what your clients need, but not being able to get them instant breakthroughs, this is for you. You'll learn exactly how to use your gifts that are unique to you and bring them into your practice, offering more powerful results, faster results with your clients, and unshakable certainty in your spiritual business. Super amazing. And for most of you that have been working with people, especially as a coach or a healer, you probably have started to see patterns, but you don't know quite how to help them. And so this is what we're going to teach you. We're going to teach you how to access those gifts that you probably have and use them to help other people in a more impactful way, faster. That is fun and exciting for you and really empowering for your clients. Reiki practitioners. Did you finish your Reiki training and you loved it? You're maybe even practicing Reiki already, but now that you're working with clients, you see that there is so much more that you didn't get in that training. This is your opportunity to deeply understand how to navigate the spiritual realms, because I know if you're doing Reiki, you've started to access that and you've started to access this higher wisdom and see things, but you're getting insights that Reiki does not teach. And you'll feel more confident and you'll reach more people and you'll be able to offer real virtual sessions where that's interactive with the person, which means they get more value. They get to be part of the process. It also means you can charge more. And I bet you'll have even more fun in your practice. This is a natural progression for coaches and for Reiki practitioners. So Shaman School offers you this chance to master your spiritual gifts, to build self-worth, to be confident, but it's also its own deeply healing journey. That, deeply personal healing journey, and a process where you get in alignment with your spiritual gifts and in alignment with your higher purpose, even if you've already done some training, even if you've already started a business. It's about living your values loudly and seeing them reflected in the world around you. Doesn't that sound nice? This program is designed to support you in fully embodying the legendary energy that you are meant to live in. How does that feel? So I want to share a few stories from some of our students. Like Sarah joined shaman school and she was definitely struggling with self-doubt. She came in mostly because she had so much anxiety, and she had interest in spirituality and called to healer's path, but it wasn't necessarily, she really didn't know if she was meant to do that. It's just the anxiety was so intense. She was ready to be done with it. And she did kind of feel a little bit of a call, but she didn't know how to harness her gifts or even if that's what she wanted to do. But through the support and teachings at Shaman School, she discovered her unique abilities. She learned to trust herself and trust that intuition that was coming through and connect deeply with her spirit guides. And today, Sarah is a confident healer, helping others find their path to wellness and joy. Melissa was working in a corporate career. And I remember that first conversation we had. She wanted to learn. She'd actually been on her own healing journey. She had to heal some physical problems that came up for her. And that's what opened the door, right? That was her initiation. And she did some self-healing, but she knew there was so much more and she was super interested. Her soul was calling her. She had that kind of vague interest in shamanism. And at the time, she really wasn't interested in offering this professionally. And she loved her job. But in the end, actually, what happened was amazing. And I shared that in one of the previous episodes. But she ended up actually combining kind of her job and the shamanic work, creating a whole new career for herself, even though it really wasn't her intention. And just know that it doesn't have to be. It's not the goal to necessarily have you have this six-figure business, although we certainly help you with that if that's what you want. Jim, for example, he had had an awakening maybe a year or two before he joined shaman school. And he had been going to spiritual retreats and events and trying to understand things. He'd gained a lot of spiritual knowledge, but he still didn't really have an understanding of what his purpose was, or where to go with all of the spiritual information. And in shaman school, he had incredible heart healings. He deepened his skill and his understanding of the spiritual realms. And actually, shortly after he completed shaman school, he ended up getting offered a board position at this cutting edge company. It was like a dream position for himself. So not only did he improve his skills and manifest the life that he wanted, but he also got completely clear on what his purpose is. Kim had had previous shamanic training, kind of some intensive training, but the training wasn't done exactly with the best intentions or love. And so it left her distrusting herself and kind of left her distrusting shamanism in general. But she kept feeling this calling. It didn't quite go away, even though she had had not the greatest experience. And she kept feeling the call to work with us. Actually, during our first conversation, she followed the call and she said no, because at the time she said no because of money. And she came back a year later. And that was part of the journey for her of learning about, how to step into the worth, how to say yes to your calling, and um, how to overcome distorted beliefs and versions about what is happening in your life and what is true for you. So during shaman school, what was awesome is during shaman school, she picked up her first official client as a shaman. And shortly after during shaman school, she became aware of her really specific gifts and her specific purpose. And shortly after shaman school, she actually offered and filled an entire workshop on this topic of her expertise. So she went from like having not a great experience with shamanism, but still feeling cold and really worrying about like, her mental health, worrying about what it would be like to work with the spirit realm again, and came out completely clear on the other side and making money in her spiritual business. Kat was she had her own version. She was trying to open a yoga studio at the time, and she was sort of struggling with that. And when she joined, opening her yoga studio didn't really have a direct correlation with why she joined shaman school. She had just had this curiosity and she had this longing for a long time. And in the program, she got connected with her inner knowing. And again, like, especially with that trust, she really began to know herself on a deeper level. So she got to understand herself, why she is the way she is, and what she really wants. And as a result, she not only opened her successful yoga studio and community center, which is doing great, by the way, she also met the love of her life. And it's a truly incredible story and an incredible testament to shaman school, but more importantly, what our curiosity and desire does for us. Again, she did not have a direct correlation. She wasn't like, I want to open a yoga studio, so I should join shaman school. It just happened and she had the calling and she trusted it and she followed it. And this is what it gave her. It gave her her successful yoga studio and community center and the love of her life. And I gotta say, it seems like she's having a blast right now. So again, this transformation is a testament to the power of shamanic practices and the supportive community we foster at Shaman School. And of course, I could go on and on and on. We've had so many amazing students. But the point is, if your soul is calling, if you are committed to healing and spiritual growth, and especially if you want to grow your spiritual business, now is the time. Don't wait. I seriously talk to people all the time who say, I'm going to do it in a few months. And they keep waiting for something in their life to change, and it doesn't happen. It's part of this calling. It's because you saying yes is what's going to initiate the changes that you want in your life. And that's part of that humility of accepting the invitation from spirit. The people that joined, they're wonderful. They're awesome people. I've got to say, I think that they are really cool, but they're not special. They're not, some of them, a lot of them do have gifts that were natural, but it's not like they had some special thing in life that made them different. They're just like you. They are also working full time. They are also single parents. They're also in divorces and life transitions and caretaking people. They're also questioning marriages. They're also questioning career changes. They have expenses. They have families. They have health concerns. So don't let being a single parent or worrying about money or questioning, the timing, don't let that be the reason you put this off. If you find yourself saying, well, that was nice, but I need to do XYZ first, this is a major opportunity for you to shift your beliefs right now and know that flipping that around is going to completely change your life. And again, just for some specifics, so we're enrolling Shaman School right now. I have a limited number of seats. We're going to keep enrollment open until the end of August. So the end of August will be your very last chance to enroll. And whatever happens first, either the seats are full or August comes, and that will be the last chance. The first person that signs up is going to get tons of extra bonuses. So the sooner you sign up, the more bonuses you're going to get, and also the more time you'll have in Shaman School. If you sign up today, you actually can start right now, and will be complete at the end of May. So that is when you'll complete your Shaman School journey. And just a reminder, I'll share the link in the show notes, but you can DM me directly and let me know you're interested in Shaman School. And your first step is to just briefly look over the program information, and then you'll be invited to apply. That's going to actually take you to a place to book your call. So this is where you're going to book your Ignite Your Inner Shaman call. There is a very small deposit that you'll get returned to you right after your call. And that's just to make sure that we respect each other's time and that you show up and that you respect my time. And you're serious about this. There's no obligation to enroll in Shaman School. You can still just come and get some clarity, get the clarity that you have, get your questions answered about whether this is right for you, if you're really called to the path. There won't be pressure for you to join, although if you are right for the path, then you do want to take that opportunity. But yeah, take advantage of that opportunity to get with me, to get on my calendar, to get this clarity that you're looking for, and to ignite the side of you that keeps calling you forward. Yeah. And if nothing else, take advantage of this, because you want to be clear for yourself that the reason that you are a no right now is because you're actually not aligned and not because you're not committed, right? You are going to want to know that if it is a no, that it's because it's not a soul calling and not for any of the other reasons that we tell ourselves in order to keep ourselves small or keep ourselves held back. So I want to come back to some questions. Again, I started out today sharing, that we get a lot of questions from people who join Leading with Spirit around the shamanic path and how they know what's right for them and how to start their spiritual business. So I want to open this up for a few more questions that I see a lot. And one common question is, what if this doesn't work for me? Right? Like I feel called to this, but what if I'm wrong? What if this doesn't work for me? And this is a valid fear. And it's something that many students feel initially, to be honest. And the truth is, shamanic practices work because they're deeply personal and adaptable, right? So with other modalities, they're often formulaic. It's like, this is how you do it, and this is how you apply it. And so it makes it harder if we don't actually align with it. It makes it harder for them to work for us. What's beautiful about shamanic practice is it's super adaptable. And what we specialize in at Holton Healing Arts and in Shaman School is helping it be personal for you. So it's not this one size fits all. We do not make copycat healers. So we're going to help you find what's right for you and your best next steps in the process. And it also provides this safe space for you to explore what resonates with you. When you're stepping into your next level healer, it can be awkward sometimes. And so it's wonderful to have this safe space where you can actually try things on, where you can test the edges of your gifts. Because it's not about achieving perfection. This is about you having confidence in what you're designed to do and confidence and willingness and action to go out there and do it. It's about progress and self-discovery and challenge and challenging you to stretch. Another question we often get is, how is Shaman School different than other programs? Well, besides the fact that we have a lot of fun and also we have a really deep culture in Shaman School, I would say that our shamanic training offers three main distinctions from other trainings. One is your unique medicine. So this is what we specialize in. Again, not copycatting healers, not having to wear certain things, not having to memorize certain words, but understanding your unique gifts and how to use them to stand out and to deliver powerful transformation for others. We teach the shamanic archetypes, which no other program teaches. This is my unique work. And again, this helps you understand who you are on a deep level, and it also understands who your clients are and the best ways to help them and the fastest ways to help them and what they need on their healing journey. And then one of my favorite parts is we also work and navigate different spiritual realms. So again, if you're feeling this call, you're probably visiting places in your dreams. You're probably noticing like signs and symbols that come forward to you and you're not quite sure how to interpret them or where to put them. You might have a curiosity or experience with extraterrestrials. All of this stuff relates to the different dimensions and spiritual realms. And so you're going to learn that piece. And actually, not a lot of other shamanic trainings teach this either. And besides it making you a more powerful shaman, it's a lot of fun. It's super fun. So we don't hold back content to get you to train longer, which is what a lot of programs do. So do know this is big. This is fast. This is a lot, all of it. And it's all right here. And it's also going to grow with you as you grow. So you'll come back to the trainings. Even after you finish the program, you'll come back to the trainings again when you're ready for your next level. And the next level that you need is actually built into the teachings already. And this is in my, the way that I'm able to access the multiple dimensions allows me to layer the information into the teachings. So each time you come back to it, you get exactly what you need. Plus, everybody that joins right now will get lifetime access to all of my other digital courses. And we're also offering support in your spiritual business. So is this really my path? Am I truly gifted? Rarely is someone called to the path who isn't meant to be on it. For some, it's for personal healing. For others, it's to be this fully realized spiritual guide. And it's the next step that you're ready for. You've done some training, but it doesn't quite feel authentic yet. And this is how you get there. For others, You may have been through something and you just need some help right now, and that's part of the call too, like how I went through my initiation, right? But besides that, I also have a life of working with my gifts, right? So I went through that whole initiation. I have a lifetime of working through my gifts. I have my own trauma, like being bullied, sexual abuse, and depression. All of that is part of my unique makeup, and you have one too. So if you're feeling that call and you're not sure, if you really have, if you're really gifted enough, know that it's about your life experience too, and that you're getting the call because spirit wants to use you and wants to work through you. Most shamans do have some natural gifts, but even the most gifted shamans still learn from others. It's just how it works. You don't learn through the head and through books, but through experience from other shamans. And almost anyone can learn, actually. These gifts are just part of being human. Some people are naturally gifted, but if your desire is there, if you're committed, then the question is less about, is this for me? And it's more about it being a decision and then taking action. Shaman School is here to help you with the how. So before we wrap up, let's just reflect on the power of living your values. True wealth and fulfillment come from embodying your values and seeing them reflected in the environment and the people around you. This is part of manifesting the life you desire, is getting to experience what matters to you and how you value the world, getting to experience that being true around you, not just internally, but in your physical reality. In Shaman School, we help you align with those highest values and live them fully. This alignment brings peace, it brings purpose, it brings abundance, and honestly, a lot of joy and fun to your life and to the others that you're going to help. Imagine the impact of living in harmony with your true self, guided by wisdom and supported by a loving community. And this is the gift of Shaman School. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this resonates with you, be sure to visit the website or our show notes, where you'll learn the next steps and how to enroll. Don't let fear hold you back from your true potential. The path of the shaman is calling, and Shaman School is here to guide you. Don't forget, this is our last enrollment this year. We will not be enrolling in 2025. The moment you've been waiting for is here right now. Do you feel the butterflies in your belly when you think about it? That's how you know it's time. So until next time, walk in beauty, stay connected to spirit, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye for now. Have you been hearing the call to expand your spiritual gifts and step into your next level of conscious leadership? If you're a coach, healer, or a spiritual leader, you can learn more about Shaman School and growing your spiritual business on our website, holtonhealingarts.com, or send me a DM at Holton Healing Arts. Welcome to today's Q&A episode, where we explore questions about spiritual paths, intuitive gifts, growing a spiritual business, and shamanism. Do you have a question for us? Send us a DM at Holton Healing Arts. This question is from Mark, from our new member of Leading with Spirit. And the question is, I'm interested in opening my gifts and working with spirit, but I'm afraid that I might open up something negative or bad. What do I do? And so the question to me sounds like this is common for a lot of actually sensitive people, is that we actually had experiences when we were younger that were scary, overwhelming, or we didn't understand. So that might be like having an experience with a ghost, or just having even an experience that's with a compassionate being, but because we don't have context for what was happening, it became a scary experience for us. And a lot of us have this question. There's this idea that if we open the door to the spirit world or to our spiritual gifts, it means that we'll also be opening the door to the possibility of bad spirits or something negative happening to us. And I just want to share that, actually, there's nothing that's preventing something quote unquote bad from happening to you just because you don't have the door open to spirit or your spiritual gifts. Not to sound scary, but like even people that don't believe in ghosts have experiences with ghosts. It's not like the door was open, right? It just happened. And so actually the opposite is true. You aren't in fact going to be opening the door for the possibility of something negative happening. You're actually going to be equipping yourself with the knowledge and experience you need to navigate those situations. But instead of having to be worried about what if they happen, you're going to know how to navigate those spaces and know how to be confident when that comes up. But also, you're going to have access to all of the beautiful and wonderful parts of those spiritual gifts and connection to the spirits. So, if you find yourself with that question or that fear that you might open up something negative, just know that this is actually not true. It's very normal and reasonable to have that concern, but know that the best thing for you to do is actually to learn these gifts so you can be prepared and well equipped to handle them if they ever come up. And for the majority of us, they actually don't. So don't deny yourself the opportunity to experience your potential and your gifts just because of this fear, even though it's very understandable. Know that this is not likely going to happen, and you're missing out on a whole world of wonderful things if you let this fear hold you back. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leading with Spirit. And if you did, please share the link for this episode with your biggest takeaway, tagging me at Holton Healing Arts. It would also support me if you subscribed and left a rating and review of the show so we can support more people living their highest purpose. Until next time, journey on.